Have you ever wondered why English is the dominant language worldwide? From boardrooms to classrooms, from scientific research to international diplomacy, English reigns supreme. It's the lingua franca of our globalized world, a common thread that weaves together diverse cultures and peoples. But how did this come to be? How did a language born on a small island nation become the global powerhouse it is today? The story of English is a tale of transformation and expansion. It's a narrative steeped in historical events, shaped by influential figures, and propelled by the forces of trade, colonization, and cultural exchange. It's a journey that spans centuries, traversing continents and crossing oceans. It's an epic saga that mirrors the rise and spread of the modern world itself. To understand this, we must journey back in time to the origins of the English language. Our journey begins in the 5th century with the arrival of Germanic tribes in Britain. These tribes, namely the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, brought with them their own languages, which would form the foundation of what we now call Old English. Old English was a rich and complex language with a wide array of sounds and grammatical structures. It was heavily influenced by the languages of the tribes who settled in Britain. The Angles, Saxons, and Jutes contributed significantly to its vocabulary and syntax, while the existing Celtic languages left their mark on place names and certain aspects of pronunciation. However, Old English wasn't just a product of the Germanic tribes, it was also shaped by the Latin language, thanks to the Christianization of England in the 7th century. Latin, the language of the Church, brought a flood of new words into Old English, especially in the realms of religion, education, and administration. It also influenced the way Old English was written, as Latin script replaced the older runic alphabet. The Viking invasions of the 9th and 10th centuries also had a profound impact on Old English. Norse, the language of the Vikings, contributed a significant number of words to the English language, particularly in the fields of law, government, and everyday life. It also influenced English grammar, leading to simplifications in its structure. This period of Old English is characterized by regional dialects, each with its own unique characteristics and influences. Despite these variations, a standard form of the language began to emerge, largely due to the influence of the West Saxon dialect. But this was just the beginning. While Old English had already undergone significant changes, it was about to face an even bigger transformation. The Norman conquest in the 11th century brought a new wave of linguistic influences and set the stage for the development of Middle English. But a significant shift in the language was yet to come with the Norman conquest. The stage was set for a new chapter in the evolution of the English language. In 1066, the Norman conquest introduced a new linguistic era. This marked the beginning of a transformative period in the history of the English language. The Normans, hailing from what is now modern-day France, brought with them their own French dialect, which heavily influenced the Old English spoken by the Anglo-Saxons. The Norman rule lasted for several centuries, leading to a significant impact on the English language. The rulers and the high society spoke French, and it became the language of the courts, the church, and the aristocracy. This influence led to the introduction of thousands of French words into English vocabulary. Words such as royal, justice, and court are just a few examples of the French influence on English. During this time, the language of the common people, the Old English, and the French of the ruling class began to meld together, giving birth to what we now know as Middle English. Middle English was a hybrid language, a rich blend of Old English and Norman French, with influences from Latin and other languages as well. A key figure of this period was Geoffrey Chaucer, often referred to as the father of English literature. Chaucer wrote in the vernacular, the language of the common people, which was Middle English. His most famous work, The Canterbury Tales, is a prime example of Middle English literature. Chaucer's works not only entertained but also helped standardize English grammar, spelling, and vocabulary. By the late Middle Ages, English had regained its position as the language of all classes, albeit a significantly transformed version from the Old English spoken before the Norman conquest. This was the dawn of what we now refer to as modern English. However, it was not a static language. It continued to evolve and adapt, taking on new words, shedding old ones, and changing in pronunciation and grammar. As we move into the Renaissance, English continued to evolve. This dynamic nature of the English language is what has allowed it to survive and thrive over the centuries. The Renaissance, a time of renewed interest in the sciences and arts, brought about substantial changes in English. This period marked a shift towards early modern English, a stage of the language that was more recognizable to us today than its predecessor, Middle English. The Renaissance was a time of cultural awakening across Europe, with a resurgence of interest in the classical knowledge of Greece and Rome. This revival had a profound influence on the English language. Latin and Greek, the languages of the ancients, were held in high esteem. As a result, English absorbed a vast number of words from these languages. This infusion of Latin and Greek words enriched the English vocabulary, especially in the fields of science, philosophy, and the arts. One of the most significant linguistic developments during this time was the creation of the first English dictionary. In 1604, Robert Cordry's A Table Alphabetical was published. It contained about 3,000 words, and its creation marked a significant step towards standardizing English spelling and pronunciation. But no discussion of the Renaissance and its impact on English would be complete without mentioning the bard himself, William Shakespeare. A master wordsmith, Shakespeare had an uncanny knack for capturing the complexity of human emotions and experiences. His profound influence on the English language cannot be overstated. He coined hundreds of phrases and words that have become part of our everyday speech. From green-eyed monster to wild goose chase, Shakespeare's contributions to the English language are as timeless as his plays. In essence, the Renaissance was a time of linguistic expansion and standardization. It was a period when English matured and became more structured, paving the way for the language we know today. But the journey of English was far from over. While English was evolving at home, it was also beginning to spread across the globe. The British Empire, at its height, ruled over a quarter of the world's population, and with it, English spread far and wide. This vast empire, with its colonies spanning across all continents, became the driving force behind the global expansion of the English language. As the British Empire expanded, so did the reach of English. The first significant wave of English expansion came with the establishment of colonies in the Americas during the late 16th and early 17th centuries. Colonists from England brought their language with them, and it took root in the New World, evolving and adapting to its new environment. In the 18th and 19th centuries, the British Empire, fueled by the Industrial Revolution, became the world's leading economic power. This era of British dominance is often referred to as Pax Britannica, or British peace. It was during this time that English truly started to become a global language. Trade played a crucial role in the spread of English. As the British Empire established trading posts and colonies around the world, English became the language of commerce. From the bustling markets of India to the trading houses of Hong Kong, English was the lingua franca of international trade. Colonization also played its part. British colonizers imposed English as the language of administration and education in many of their colonies. This policy had a lasting impact, with many former colonies continuing to use English as an official language long after gaining independence. Cultural exchange, too, was a significant factor. The British Empire facilitated a two-way exchange of ideas, customs, and words. English absorbed vocabulary from a multitude of languages, while also disseminating English words and phrases across the globe. As the 19th century gave way to the 20th, the British Empire began to decline. However, the English language had already established a strong global presence. It had become the language of diplomacy, science, technology, and international commerce. The Industrial Revolution and technological advancements further solidified English as a global language. The 20th century saw English solidify its position as the world's lingua franca. This period marked a significant shift in the global influence of English, largely due to the rise of the United States as a world superpower. The US, with its economic might and cultural appeal, played a pivotal role in promoting English globally. As the world became increasingly interconnected, the influence of English only grew. The advent of mass media, radio, cinema, and later television served as a powerful tool for the dissemination of English. Hollywood movies and American pop culture reached every corner of the globe, subtly weaving English into the fabric of everyday life. But it wasn't just entertainment. English became the language of science during the 20th century. The most significant scientific discoveries and technological advancements were primarily documented and communicated in English. This fostered an environment where knowledge of English became a prerequisite for academic and technological progress. In the realm of international diplomacy too, English emerged as the common language. The establishment of the United Nations in 1945, where English is one of the 6 official languages, further cemented its position. English served as a bridge, enabling communication and cooperation between nations with diverse linguistic backgrounds. The digital revolution of the late 20th century, spearheaded by American tech giants, further amplified the reach of English. The internet made information universally accessible, and once again, English was at the forefront. It became the default language of the digital world, from coding to content. Today, English holds a central role in business, technology, and international relations. As we navigate this increasingly globalized world, the ability to communicate in English has become more than a convenience. It's a necessity. The story of English is a testament to the dynamic nature of language, shaped and reshaped by social, cultural, and geopolitical forces over centuries. As we look to the future, English remains a critical tool for global communication. It has become the language of the internet, a digital realm where people from all walks of life converge. It's the language of coding, the backbone of our increasingly digital world. It's the language of artificial intelligence, shaping our interactions with machines and technology. But English is not standing still. It continues to evolve, shaped by the diverse communities that use it. New words and phrases are born in the bustling cities, the quiet suburbs, the online forums, and the social media platforms. These changes reflect our changing world, our evolving societies, and our shifting perspectives. In the age of globalization, new dialects of English are emerging. Singlish in Singapore, Hinglish in India, Spanglish in the United States. They are a testament to the adaptability of English, its ability to blend with local languages and cultures, creating a rich tapestry of linguistic diversity. Yet, as English continues to spread, questions arise. Will it lead to the extinction of other languages? Or will it coexist, fostering multilingualism and cultural exchange? These are complex issues that we, as global citizens, must grapple with. Despite these challenges, one thing is certain: English in its many forms will continue to be a powerful tool for communication. It will help us bridge cultural divides, foster mutual understanding, and navigate our shared future. In the world of business, English will remain the lingua franca, facilitating international trade and collaboration. In the realm of science, it will continue to be the language of innovation and discovery. In diplomacy, it will be the language of negotiation and peace. As we look towards the future, we realize that the story of English is far from over. It's a living, breathing entity, constantly changing, constantly adapting. It's a mirror of our collective human experience, reflecting our triumphs, our struggles, our hopes, and our dreams. In the end, the journey of English is a testament to the dynamic, ever-evolving nature of language itself.